Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. So, a real quick video. I've been thinking about this subject a lot lately. First of all, peace to everybody on the planet Earth. Peace and blessings. Shout out to everybody live and direct from New York City, America, the world's newest third world country. That's right, I said it clearly. America is now a third world country. There's about 50% split between wealthy and just totally poor right now. And a lot of the people are just living check to check. But I didn't come to bring you bad news. I came to give you good news. First of all, what's been on my mind? Libraries, books. I'm reading a book right now called Secret Places of the Lion. I'm sorry, the author's name escapes me at the moment, but it's Secret Places of the Lion. The book is out of print. It's going to be very, very hard to get. I recommend the book because it has a lot of hidden nuggets in it. It has a lot of esoteric philosophy, a lot of ancient philosophy, a lot of history going back to the time of the Telonium tablets and the sinking of Atlantis and various spaceships that were buried on various powerful monuments on the planet Earth. I recommend that book. I don't agree with every word in the book, but I strongly recommend Secret Places of the Lion, if you could get your hand on it. If not, let's make some arrangements. I'm not the most business-minded person, but if there's somebody in New York City with space and they want me to do a book reading, then we can make some arrangements and, get a crowd in. We'll do a book reading, charge a little donation fee at the door, maybe have some refreshments, some prasadam, and some other products for sale. These are just thoughts. I wouldn't mind doing a public book reading. Also, I would like to read a book called African History for Beginners by Herb Boyd. I feel like I dropped the ball in 2010 because me and Taki Grant, we went to Columbus, Ohio, and there was a moment where there was some technical difficulties during his lecture. So while they was trying to get that fixed, I started entertaining the crowd. But I think I had that book with me at the time, and I really should have just seized the moment. Carpe diem. I should have just seized the moment and read that book, Black History for Beginners, to these people. But anyway, let's get on to the point. So a lot of people have been asking me about this subject about avatars and incarnations of Krishna. And what's so funny is that when we're dealing with the subject of avatars and incarnations, we have to understand the Vedas. Srimad Bhagavatam says that the incarnations come in and out of this world like the waves of the ocean. Like the waves on the seashore, that's how the incarnations come. Now, what do we know about waves? Waves don't respect any boundaries except land. So a wave is not going to stop until it hits land. Why am I telling you that? Because some people like to argue that the Egyptian science is older, that Africa is older than India, and the Vedas is older. First of all, let's look at the Vedas for what it is. The timelines on the Vedas, the number of years, the millions and trillions and billions of years of timelines that they have recorded in the Vedas is untouchable. It's not for me to say who started first, because I understand that the genetic record shows that humanity started in Africa. That's what we know to this point. And they migrated to other areas, including actually India first. And this was on the scale of 80,000 to even as far as 200,000 years ago. That's most recent information. So the knowledge, the word Veda, it had to pass through Africa. Unless you're telling me that there was no knowledge on the planet Earth until the human beings stepped foot in India, then God decided to give us knowledge. Like, that makes no sense to me. Knowledge was here from the found. As a matter of fact, there was more knowledge in the universe back in the days. But what another interesting thing that the scientists have found out is that the universe is actually expanding faster and faster and faster. So if the universe is expanding more and Lord Brahma is in charge of all of that, then that means Lord Brahma, the most advanced being in this universe, is also still learning. So if he's still learning, there's always something for all of us to learn. Knowledge don't stop. That's why I recommend reading books like Secret Places of the Lion, African History for Beginners. African History for Beginners has a powerful intersection when it speaks about the original 9 matrilineal clans of Kenya. The original 9 mothers of the planet Earth came through Kenya, and they were created by a deity named Enkai, Nkai. Where do we know that name? Enki. a Sumerian Anunnaki deity who was alleged to have created humanity for slave labor. So we see some cross references from African history beginners to the Sumerian tablets to the Vedas. So the Vedas now, the only reason why I like the Vedas is because the intricacy of the information and the fact that it's so antiquity. But at the same time, I'm not here to beat my chest and say, well, the Indian way is older or the African way is older. I'm not so concerned about when anymore. I'm more concerned about who, what, where, and why. So going back to the waves of the ocean, if you strike a wave in Antarctica and it travels through the water between Antarctica and South America, the other portion of the wave will hit South America, Argentina. It'll go all the way up the eastern seaboard of South America, the same wave. It'll go all the way through the Caribbean. It'll go all the way up the eastern seaboard of North America, just to show you that water, the nature of water, it just keeps going until it's stopped. Well, the same philosophy is like the avatars of Lord Vishnu. Just because Krishna incarnates in India at a certain time period doesn't mean that the absolute, eternal, supreme, infallible Lord cannot manifest simultaneously in another continent like Europe, like Africa, like Asia, like North and South America. So it's just like the waves of the ocean. Just like you see the story of Veda Vyasa. Now, Veda Vyasa is the compiler of the knowledge of the Vedas, and we know he was based out of India roughly 5,000 years ago. After the events of the Mahabharata War, he, quote unquote, invented the pen, and from there it was on and popping. Well, 5,000 years ago still puts us in the time period of 3100 BC when dynastic Kemet was founded. I do not know when Thoth walked this earth. Jehuti or Thoth is the ibis-headed guy. He has like the head of a bird, and he was said to have invented the pen, and he was also a great compiler of knowledge. But what we do know about these great historic personalities, these expansions, these manifestations, these children of the Most High, is that they often reincarnate. So you might have Thoth in the world at a remote period, but there was no pens before Thoth. There was no pens before Veda Vyasa. So they had to be the same person incarnated in different parts of the world at the same time. Remember, Krishna is not limited to the physical body like you and I, and he is not limited to our scope and our range of time. So God could be right in front of you, and you're looking at the watch like it's 4 o'clock, but to Krishna it's 4 million o'clock, or it's negative 4 o'clock. You know what I mean? Krishna's not ruled by time like me and you, so he can be here simultaneously. He's somewhere else doing something else, and it's not for you to limit his physical composition and say, well, he can only look like an Indian with straight hair. He can't look like an African with big lip. He can't look like a Polynesian or a Melanesian because they're not our standards of beauty. So Krishna would never do that. But remember, my vision of beauty is not the same as the next person, and the next person's vision and standard of beauty deserves to be respected. Just like Srila Prabhupada, he didn't think that African people were very beautiful, but that's his own issue. I don't have to agree with that. There's some devotees that will agree with that blindly and won't use their eyes, but that's on them. I respect them, you know what I'm saying? Just stay away from me, bro. So check it, right? These incarnations of God can be anywhere at any time because it's like the waves of the ocean. So we also have other incarnations like, okay, so we have Ptah. The other day, this guy, man, tried to get on me about speaking about Ptah and Vishnu are the same. But if you look at the attributes of Ptah and Vishnu, they're both coming out of the primordial waters. Lord Vishnu has a feminine counterpart named Lakshmi Devi. One of the manifestations of Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, is also the lion-headed deity, Narsimhi, the female Narsimha. She's a lion-headed female. What? We heard that before. Ptah has a lion-headed wife named Sekhmet or Shakti, power. And they both had a child that was born on a lotus placenta flower. The child's name is Nefertum, and he went and created the world. The same story is related in the Vedas. Lord Vishnu is laying down in the primordial waters. Lakshmi's massaging his legs. You can think what you want. That's your brain. She's massaging his legs. And then something comes out of Lord Vishnu, and it's a lotus flower with a lotus placenta, and a being named Brahma is born, who creates the universe. So once again, my name is Capri Scott, aka some man Patu. And I just like to say my vision is not as limited as others. I see connections, whereas other people, they want to own knowledge, they want to possess knowledge. And I'll tell you what causes me to run from people's religion. When I hear you talking about your way is right, and you're not even interested in hearing nothing else that anybody else has to say, you're like a fool to me. You know what I'm saying? I don't even respect that. I keep it moving. Once I see people are closed-minded, because remember, I used to be a Jehovah's Witness when I was a child, and they used to say, we got the truth, and they didn't want to hear nobody else's doctrine, nobody else's philosophy. Then you hit them with something like, well, the world is older than 6,000 years, and they're stuck because they refuse to look at other people's information. And this is going to happen with the Hare Krishnas a lot, because I remember a devotee, he was going to pedal on Jamaica Ave. I say, yo, man, if you're going to be on the Ave, I know the people out on Jamaica Ave very well. They're very, very educated, well thought out Gyanis. They do their research. So I said to him, what would you say if somebody came to you and said, we are gods? And, because it says in the Bible that you are gods. In two distinct places, it says that you are gods. You know what the devotee said to me? The Bible don't say that. I said, what? Remember, I've been reading the Bible all my life. He said, the Bible don't say that. I said, what? I said, wow. So his answer was to respond with ignorance. And remember, these are the people that claim to be responsible for bringing the world out of ignorance. So I'm talking to a devotee like, because sometimes people are searching. And when they searching, in the midst of searching, they will argue with you. And if you can beat them, then they will humble themselves to you. Like Kung Fu, I don't want to mess it up. Spoiler alert, Kung Fu Hustle. The illest killer in the world bowed down at the end to the man who could beat him. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like that in these streets. You know what I'm saying? You the toughest, or you could be looking for something and somebody gives you a good fight and you be like, you know what? I'm going to study under this person because they know what they're talking about. But if you respond with ignorance, they're going to laugh at you and walk away. They too deep on Jamaica Ave. You can't argue with people unless you study what they study. But if you keep your paradigm locked into just Srila Prabhupada's books, I would just read Bhagavad Gita. Of course, these are the essence and the summary of all knowledge, but to get the finer, intricate points, because if I say, here, have a strawberry, some people would just eat the whole strawberry. They won't differentiate and say, well, the seeds might get in my teeth, or I can't eat the green part because that's fibrous matter that I can't digest, and they'll just eat the whole thing. Whereas others will dissect it and say, I could eat this part, but I can't eat that part, because it's called discernment. And I wish people on this planet would use a little more discernment, especially if you hold yourself responsible for other people's souls. I wish you all the best with that. And I would like to say that every time, an African proverb says that every time an old man dies, it's as if a library had burned down. So it's very important to preserve knowledge, people. Preserve the knowledge, record your thoughts, write them down, disseminate the information so that if you leave your physical body, your word will last on. Srila Prabhupada's legacy was his word. It wasn't even so much his works, because if you look at the 108 temples that he founded, all of his disciples pretty much divided up the property after he died, left his body, and sold the property. So many ISKCON properties, like if you want to go to a Hare Krishna temple right now, it's going to be less and less and less to go to, because they're selling them off. They got to get that bread. They got to get that retirement package. It ain't about bhakti no more. It ain't about devotional service. It's about money service. You know what I'm saying? And hey, listen, I didn't make it up. Their followers say that. So anyway, peace and blessings. Everybody check out Lord Jagannath. His part of India, Orisha, was never conquered by outsiders. It's just like Ethiopia in the sense that the imperialists and the colonizer never could come and mess with Lord Jagannath's land, and they never could mess with Haile Selassie's land. So if I'm looking for divinity, those are the two places I'm looking first. Any part of the world that has proven itself to be immune from the wiles of the invaders needs a second look. So we need to look at Ethiopia, and we need to look at Orisha, India. Orisha, India, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, Orisha is shaped like a conch shell. So right there, we know Yemaya's energy is lapping at those seashores right there, because it's symbolic of the conch shell. And another thing, don't make any offerings to Lord Shiva using a conch shell. It is taboo. If you want more information, read the story of Tulsi and how her husband was killed. If anyone asks any questions, feel free to leave the questions inside the comments, and feel free to share the video, click like and subscribe. And if you really appreciate my work and want it to continue on, please help out the PayPal account. It's not a problem. I'll accept any donations from 1 penny to 700 trillion pennies and more. It's all good with me. So listen, let's make something happen. Let's be positive. Let's build up the world in a better light. And it's time to stop seeking external guidance. Let's go internal and find out what Paramatma is telling us. With that, I'm out, and I'm just glad to have this opportunity to talk to you another time. And I hope that the video is pleasing and refreshing to your mind, senses, and your soul. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.